Thunder cracked over the mist-cloaked hills of the Green Island as Lug's spear blazed through the sky. His strike aimed not at mortal foes, but at the ancient unspoken curse buried beneath the land. Yet the texts warn that some gods were never meant to be awakened, their names erased from druidic scrolls. Beneath the roots of the world tree, forgotten deities slumber, their power older than Stonehenge's stones. Their return could unravel the cosmos, but the price of defying them is a reckoning no druid has survived. The Green Island was a realm of contradictions, a land where the sun kissed the sea and the wind carried the voices of the dead. Its people, the Cailleach, worshipped the gods of the wheel and the wolf, their lives bound to the cycles of the moon and the omens of the Morrígan. Yet, in the shadowed groves of the island, where the trees grew twisted and the rivers ran black, the forbidden gods lurked. These were not the gods of the druids, nor the patrons of warriors or farmers. They were the Duine Mhór, the Great Ones, whose names had been struck from the annals of the Lorg Cairn, and whose worship had been condemned by the high kings of Tara. The earth split open with a sound like the grinding of ancient bones, and from the fissure rose the Morrígan, her form shifting between a raven and a woman draped in blood-red robes. Her voice was a chorus of crows, each syllable a blade against the wind. "You dare challenge the Duine Mhór?" she croaked, her wings blotting out the moon. "You are but dust in the path of the end. We are the dust that remembers." Cuchulainn roared, his spear glowing with the fire of the Dagda's forge. "And we will not let your shadows consume the Green Island again." The Awasi sealed the underworld for a reason, Ailill shouted, her spear flashing as she parried a tendril of darkness that lashed from the Cailleach Bheara's outstretched hand. "But we are not the fools who came before." The ground trembled as the Dagda himself emerged, his form a towering giant with a face like a storm. In his hand he held the Lorg Mhór, his great hammer, its head carved with the faces of the dead. "You have trespassed on the sacred," he boomed, his voice shaking the stars. "The Duine Mhór are not to be defied. Then defy us." Cuchulainn cried, his spear piercing the air. "The Cairn do not fear the end, we embrace it, for it is the price of our freedom." The sky darkened as the Fomorians rose from the sea, their forms like twisted trees, their eyes glowing with the fire of forgotten gods. The Cailleach Bheara laughed, a sound like falling ice. "You think you can stand against the Duine Mhór? You are but children playing with fire." "Then let the fire burn," Ailill screamed, her spear igniting with the light of the AOC. "For the Green Island, for the dead, for the future that the druids tried to bury." The clash of gods and mortals shook the world. The forbidden gods did not vanish. They waited, and when the time came, they would rise again. "The gods of the Green Island are not dead," said the seer Cathbad, his voice trembling as he stared at the monolith. "They are waiting for the Dagda's hammer to fall, for the Fomorian tide to rise, and for the Cuchulainn to break the chains of the Dumhar. But the time of the forbidden gods is not yet." "Then why does the Cailleach Bheara walk the roads of the living?" asked Ailill, her voice trembling. "Why does the Morrígan cry over the fields of the Cailleach? And why does the Dagda whisper to the wind in the language of the dead?" The forbidden gods had no answer. They were the silence between the stars, the breath of the storm, the shadow that clings to the soul. Their power was not to be wielded, but to be feared. And yet, the Cailleach had not forgotten. But what investigators discovered next changed everything. "The Cairn of the unseen is not a relic of the past," said the druid Cuchulainn, his voice trembling as he stared at the monolith. "It is a key. And the forbidden gods are not waiting for the Dagda's hammer, they are waiting for us." "But how can we face the Duine Mhór?" asked Ailill, her hand gripping the hilt of her spear. "They are not gods of war or wisdom. They are the Morrígan, the Cailleach Bheara, the Dagda, the gods of death, of time, of the end. The forbidden gods had no mercy, no forgiveness. They were the reckoning that the Cailleach had long avoided, the truth that the Druids had buried. And now, with the Cairn of the unseen unsealed, the forbidden gods would rise. The air grew thick with the scent of petrichor as the Cailleach Bheara raised her staff, the earth trembling beneath her feet. The sky darkened, not with clouds, but with the weight of forgotten oaths and the silence of the dead. The Ao Sea had long sealed their halls against the living, but now their doors groaned open, revealing a labyrinth of bone and shadow where the forbidden gods had waited for millennia. "You mistake us for monsters," rumbled the Dagda, his voice a rolling thunder that shook the roots of the world tree. "We are the Duine Mhór, the first flame, the first breath, the first shadow. We are the Morrígan who sings the dirge of kings, the Cailleach Bheara who weaves the threads of time, and the Ao Sea who guard the secrets of the underworld. You called us forbidden, but you are the ones who forgot." "We did not forget," Ailill countered, her spear gleaming with the blood of the Fomorians she had slain. "We buried your names, your rituals, your power, because we feared what you would bring. The Cairn of the unseen was not a key, it was a warning." The Cailleach Bheara laughed, a sound like wind through broken stone. "Warnings are for the weak," she said, her voice weaving through the air like a spider's thread. "You carved your names into the bog of the dead to remember us, yet you feared our power. Power is not a curse, it is a choice. And now, the choice is yours. The choice is not ours," Cuchulainn said, his eyes burning with the fire of the Dagda's forge. "The Ao Sea have sealed the paths to the underworld, and the Morrígan has sung the final verse of the Lebor Gabala Erin. The forbidden gods are not meant to return, they are the end of the world." The Cailleach Bheara stepped forward, her cloak of mist swirling like a storm. "Then let the world end," she whispered. "For in the silence that follows, the Duine Mhór will reign once more, and the Cailleach will remember their true names." The green island trembled as the Cailleach Bheara stepped from the mist, her voice a thunderclap in the night. "You have awakened me, mortals," she said, her eyes burning with the light of 1,000 suns. "And now the forbidden gods shall walk once more." "We are not your enemies," said Cuchulainn, his spear raised against the Cailleach Bheara. "We are the children of the Dagda, the inheritors of the Aosc. We do not fear you, we challenge you." "Then let us see which of us is stronger," said Ailill, her voice ringing like a bell. "The gods of the Green Island, or the warriors of the Cailleach." The forbidden gods did not answer. They only watched their eyes like the void between the stars, their presence a whisper of the end. The Morrígan spread her wings, her shadow swallowing the moon, while the Dagda's hammer cracked the earth, splitting the ground into rivers of molten stone. The Aosc emerged from the hills, their pale faces lit by the fire of the Cairn of the unseen, their voices a chorus of forgotten prayers. "The Duine Mhór have returned," whispered Cuchulainn, his spear trembling in his grip.